What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Brave and Faithful podcast. Today, I have Althea Williams, who is an Army veteran. She is also the founder and CEO of She Vets It. She Vets It is a national women veteran community that bridges the gap between women veterans and veteran organizations using TV and podcasts, talking about a multiple things of businesses, mental health and wellness, and other programs. So, Althea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to get a chance to finally talk with you and meet you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. You know, before we start talking about She Vets It and what you're doing now, can you just share with our audience a little bit about your service? Mentioned you're an Army veteran.
Yes. So, as you were sharing, I'm a proud U.S. Army veteran. I served about 8 years before I had a medically discharged. I ended up getting a traumatic brain injury while I was stationed over in Germany. Um, and so from there, I served in Afghanistan in 2014. So yeah, it was 2014. I'm sorry, 2012 through 2013.
Okay.
I went to Germany in 2014. But yeah, I did that, and when I medically discharged, I'm now doing She Vets It.
So when you left and was medically discharged, like what was the plan? Were you trying to be a career military, or what was the plan, and what kind of led you into doing She Vets It and what you're doing now?
Well, the thing, I guess I always say I'm not your average veteran because I was turning 39.
Mm.
So it was during the recession, turning 39, prayed about it. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Join the military. Like I said earlier, I ended up getting medically discharged because of getting injured. But from that moment, when I transitioned out of the military, I knew that I was going to need community. I knew the importance and the strength of sisterhood and or just friends. It doesn't necessarily have to be sisterhood, but just friends and people that support you. And when you are a veteran and you've experienced maybe a traumatic brain injury or any kind of injury in the military, you definitely need support. And then when you're transitioning out the military, whether you have an injury or not, you need that support as you transition over to civilian life. So that is where I came up with She Vets It. And that's why today I've built a community for women veterans.
Yeah, you mentioned your career, right? Before you got into the military was a little different from the average or regular person that enters the military. You actually had a career. You had 20 plus years of working in the civilian field, right? And you've had degrees, from multiple degrees and things like that. So a lot of veterans or transitioning military members, they have that difficulty when they transition out of the military. Did you experience anything similar to that, or just the time that you put in before you were in the military kind of just helped you make that transition easier?
Wow. I would say you would think it would have been easier, but it was probably just as difficult for me because I was medically discharged because I had a traumatic brain injury. So I wasn't the same person that joined the military. I was a different person. And when you're getting out and you have an injury and you're not quite the same, um, you have to kind of figure out where are you now? Like, what
Right.
do I do with my life now? And so that's different. And so those are the challenges, experiencing traumatic brain injury. It's like, okay, what am I able to do? What I can't do, I'm in recovery, but I'm not connected to the military. I still have to figure out what is this new life about. And so that was a struggle, because now there's the mental health component, especially veterans, whether you when you were in the military, life in the military and civilian world is totally different.
Right.
And even if you're in the military, and let's say you have minimal mental health issues and minimal physical issues, there's still that change of life that you go through that's going to be difficult. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting out the military. I've been in the military for 20 something years. There's still a sense of fear of what life is going to look like on the other side. And some that don't prepare correctly, there can be challenges for even the best of us.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that, and I'm glad you brought that up, right, is, for those that might be listening, right, like might be thinking like you had this career before the military, it might have helped you shape or helped you make that transition easier, but it's not really, right? Because your experiences in the military, especially with being medically retired and the TBI, you had the same struggles as anybody did, right? And especially with somebody that's experienced what you did. So I'm glad
Mhm.
you brought that up. Um, so talking about she vets it, how long before you had been retired, medically retired, did you start this nonprofit?
Oh, well, actually, the idea came up. I was still in the military.
Mm, okay.
It's still, I was, because I was actually going through the whole process, like the medical part. I was injured like 2, 3 years before I even got out. And so working through that, I knew that I went through a WTU, and I knew that I was going to have to find that community. I knew that my friends before I joined, some of them did not understand what it's like being in the military. They don't understand being a combat veteran, losing, battle buddies and coming back, you know, from combat, not necessarily the same. And just whatever those mental health struggles may be, those are things that, when we talk about mental health, um, and maybe or some of our struggles, when you talk to the next vet, it's not, you don't feel like they're judging you. They understand, like they just understand, they get it.
Right.
And so maybe when you're talking to your civilian friends, they may have this stigma, or not stigma, but this about this, because some people say, oh, but or something's wrong, all of them have whatever issues they have. Some people may have biases in what they think that who we are as veterans, and that's not always true. But I feel kind of like safe in that community where people understand us and we're not judged, quite the same. Because with mental health, there's two spectrums of how the way you deal, let's say if you're experiencing PTS and I'm experiencing PTS, the way you respond to things and how you respond to your triggers are different than how I
Right.
respond. They're not all the same. Just like TBI, you could get hit in the head one side of the head and I get hit on the other side. But our trauma, the way it reflects and come out through us is totally different. So a lot of us, we have that understanding and we don't judge each other. So that's what I like about the veteran community. We definitely understand it and we get it. And that's why I said she vets it, she gets it.
She
You
gets
know,
it.
I understood that people, and yeah, she gets it. She gets it, or he gets it. So that's why it was she vets it, she gets it.
So, in starting this, as you were transitioning out, well, can you share with the audience some of the maybe struggles or difficulties, any obstacles that you had to overcome, starting this from the ground up while you were transitioning out of the military?
Yes. Um, what she vetted, it's just been a process because I didn't know it started as a meetup group. And so I wanted to just bring women together where we just go out maybe once a month, go to the movies, do things just to build some camaraderie and friendship. And so with that, I just wanted to just connect. And so the day I received my DD-214, an actor contacted me and from Hollywood, his media consultant contacted me and asked if me and my group would go to the Kennedy Center for live taping on ABC, and he was promoting his book and wanted to give proceeds to wounded warriors. So I said, okay, sure. So I thought to myself, God, are you trying to tell me something? Because this is not what I was trying to do. And then PBS and different organizations, universities, as such, started contacting me. And I was like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing when I get out the military, not only building a small community for myself, but building a community for other women. So, I looked at it, it was something to be larger than self. And I'm still evolving. I'm still emerging into what it's supposed to be. So it's still forming. So, any new organization, you have the growing pains of getting started and
Right.
and just trying to find your team and okay, what direction am I going to go in and things like that. So I'm still finding my way today. But it's evolving and it's getting quite a bit of recognition. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, so can you explain that a little bit? So you were invited by one of the Hollywood producers to be on the show, and then basically your story was picked up, or
Well, no, I had a meetup group.
okay.
I have a meetup group, and so a media consultant contacted me
Okay.
to have my group go out to the Kennedy Center. And so I was like, oh, okay. So we went out there for their for the live taping. But in November, the Real TV, it's kind of like similar to The View. The TV producer contacted me to see if I can get women and men that would be able to a 30-minute clip of what it means to be a veteran. So I've gotten recognition from TV shows to contact and vet the people in my community, and then also the city. So it's been really cool. I went on live. I've had someone the other day from the UK who's stationed out there in the UK. So I would say that it's internationally recognized now. Women from the East Coast to West Coast that support what I do consistently. I see some regular people that come through and support what I do. So anytime I'm in a particular state, I try to connect with those ladies that are always on my platform.
Yeah, so Althea, you mentioned some of the accolades. I was just reading through the bio, right? Like the TV shows, podcasts, and other forms of media, and also recognition from different bodies of organizations. What would you say? Is there anything, from all that you can kind of take away that, like, this was probably like the most rewarding moment or experience, or can you share with us a little bit about some of those times where
Mhm.
it's like, I'm doing something right here?
So I guess I know what you're saying, the most rewarding. I always tell people that the most rewarding thing that I've done was serve my country.
Mm.
And of all the accolades, I've been on committees where we've brought in the president, or we brought in um, celebrities or different people in different arenas when I was a civilian. And so, but I say the most fulfilling thing that I've done yet has been serving my country. And that is something that I say will stay with me.
Yeah, you so also mentioned that you had family, right? You had an uncle that served and all that. Is that what inspired you
Yes,
to
yes,
join the military?
yes. Most of all my uncles on my dad's side, my grandfather served. He was a wounded veteran. I have a great uncle. He is actually a Korean War veteran. I had the opportunity last year to sit with him and go through his books. And he actually, after 63 years, he was just awarded his medals.
Wow.
63 years later. And so him, and then I'm relate my mom's side, my great grandfather was part of like back in the day of the militia. They were like part of like before things were kind of formed, and so there was a lot of little, and his brother, there's an actual base that's named after, I guess you could say, my great uncle.
Wow.
But I won't put that out. I won't go into that. That's a whole different story.
Yeah,
But
so
yes,
you come from a
so
long
it's
line
my
of,
DNA.
yeah, you come from a long line of a history in your family of service. To follow up with that, what would you say
Mhm.
was kind of like your biggest takeaway from your time in the army?
Takeaway in the army. I've learned so much in the military. Joining at a later age, I worked with so many different people from all over the world,
Mm,
from different backgrounds, people that I thought we would never ever be friends because we don't even come from the same area, the same age, or whatever. And some of the people that were the most different from me are like my brothers and sisters today. Like
mm.
my battle buddy, I love her like a sister. She is definitely family. And she is like the same age as my daughter.
Oh,
And we went to war together, and that is my sister, uh, bad buddy. Oh gosh, Matheny. He's from Cali. He's from West Virginia. Come from two different areas, and that's my brother. I have so many stories like that. The military allowed me to really connect with people for the same cause. To be able to come together for the same purpose, and we were able to join and meet each other and really value and appreciate each other's difference to be like family. And that's what I love about the US Army.
yeah. That's a great point because I mean, the military kind of just forces you to, to work with one another. Like no matter what, color of your skin is, no matter what culture difference is,
Mhm.
backgrounds that you guys have. It's like a one, obviously one team, one fight to accomplish one mission.
That's
So
right. Mhm. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people you be like, oh, I can't stand that.
oh yeah.
Get on my nerve. You always got that one. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I met some really, really good people. And I know you can attest that having friends in the military is different from having friends as civilian. Friends in the military, they're like family. And even with me and you, even if you don't know another veteran and you guys find out, you could be on the street and you find out you're veterans, it's almost like an instant connection where I can meet someone and like, hey, how are you? And we never met before. We don't click like that. But if you're another veteran, it's just an instant connection that we have for one
It's like,
another.
it's like different, like the jargon, right? The languages.
Yes, yes, yes. So I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So Althea, what 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 advice or maybe like an actionable step that you can kind of give our audience? What actionable step can you provide them? Maybe they want to do what you're doing, right? With She Vets It. What steps would you provide them, help them to get them on that path?
To do that, I would say first, because it's a lot of work. But first, know that that is what you're called to do. You got a
Mm,
passion to do it because you want to, it's something that even some days you're not going to want to do it. But because you have the passion, that's going to keep you going. If you don't have a passion to serve people, you don't have a passion to connect with people, it's probably not a good place to be, because sometimes in this field it could be lonely, not lonely, but you could, there's a lot of times you're doing a lot of things by yourself. And so you want to be consistent at it. Whether someone should support you or not, you continue, keep going, keep consistency. Consistency is going to be your friend. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Start from somewhere. Don't try to be, even if you don't have it perfect, if you don't have the perfect mic, or you don't have the perfect, start and learn from there. You'll get it together from there. And the thing about the audience today is they're looking for authenticity.
Yeah.
So they don't care about you being perfect. They just want you to be you. And so do that. Consistency, be authentic, and do what you love, talk about what you love. And from there, you can't help but to grow.
Yeah, great points. Passion, and obviously just starting from somewhere, right? I think that's the
Mhm.
main thing is stop thinking about it, and if there's something that you're really passionate about and want to do, just go ahead and do it.
Do it. Yes.
Mistakes are going to be made, so
Yes, and be consistent. People underestimate the
yeah,
importance of consistency, because do it consistently, even if two people are watching,
yeah.
or three people. You keep doing it and you keep showing up, and people are like, oh, he's not giving up. He's still okay. Well, let me follow through. My consistency have allowed university programs, the PGA. I just in January contact the PGA program coordinator, ended up on my platform to talk about PGA Hope,
Mm.
um, their program. I've had organizations reach out, their executive assistant reach out to me to have their CEO on my platform. That all comes from consistency.
Right.
People know that you're not just doing it and then you're going to quit like in a month. Keep doing it, be consistent. And when people see that you're consistent, they'll show up. They'll continue to show up, and they'll continue to support.
So Althea, what would you say? What's next? What's on the next horizon for She Vets It?
Ooh, on the next horizon, wow. I have a lot of good things that are coming up. Some I'm still working those details out, but I just want you to know it's going to be cool. But for right now, every week I do have different speakers on my veteran business talk series. So I always have a guest speaker that talks about entrepreneurship. That's usually on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And then Wednesday is always a speaker for Wellness Wednesday, mental health focus. And then on Thursdays, I always have a guest speaker that come on from a veteran organization. This last Thursday, the Thursday that just passed, actually that was yesterday, I had the C Network. That was my guest speaker. And so I do that every week. Every week, so I'll be information, please subscribe to shevets.com, because that will give you update on the latest and the greatest. Definitely subscribe to my website, and I will keep everyone posted.
All right. So make sure, for those listening or watching this later on, go on to shevetsit.com and subscribe to the podcast and the TV show, right?
Yes. So you can also find the link in my bio on Instagram.
Okay.
So on Instagram, the link in my bio you click on that and you can find out all the things that I have going on, or how to sign up, or if you just want to be a guest in your veteran organization, you want to be a guest and want to be spotlighted, click the link in my bio on Instagram and fill out the form, and I'll contact you and see if our missions connect, and then I'll have you on.
Awesome. So Althea, before we go to the second segment of the podcast, what's one thing you want our viewers, our listeners, to take away from this story and this episode, and also, this your story?
I want them to know that no matter what you have experienced, that you still have purpose. You still have
Yeah.
purpose to do the things that you were born to do. We all have a calling and a purpose in our lives. And so a lot of times we get so caught up in what is going on now, and we think that there's nothing else for us in the future. My traumatic brain injury, I didn't think there was anything else for me to do, you know. But I still had something in me that I was able to give, and not only give, but give to a community. And that is being a veteran connector, connecting people. My experience with working at the Chamber of Commerce, my experience working at the Small Business Development Center, those skill sets that I still had that I could still use. And so I say, don't give up, you know, get through that period, connect with people, connect with other people. Make sure you are with people that are like-minded. Make sure you're around people that's good for your mental health.
Yeah,
Start doing
definitely.
inventory in your life. Start doing inventory in your life and start disconnecting from people that are not good for your health. And you'll find out that a lot of things start changing, and then you can start focusing. You'll have more window time for you to focus on the things that is going to be good for you, whether it's personally or whether it's for business or whatever your goals are. You'll have more better room to grow as an individual.
Yeah, I love that.
That was my long version.
No, no, that was great. Yeah, I love what you said in the beginning. We all have a calling and purpose. And I think what's key to you is, just staying true to yourself, just being you, right? Not trying to be anybody
Yes.
else, because the people will come. Just don't try to be anybody else but yourself. Um, all right, so Althea, going into the second segment of our podcast here. So this is what I call the fast five. These are the same 5 questions I ask all my guests. Are you ready?
Okay.
Um, First question, what's one hobby you enjoy?
Taking pictures.
Taking pictures? Okay.
Look, I thought it was going to be like going fast. I was like, okay, taking pictures. Yeah, I love taking pictures because it helps me, especially those that are especially veterans, and especially if you deal with PTSD and being social anxiety. If you learn to take pictures while you're out and about, taking really good landscape, good pictures, it is actually it's a distraction for what's going on around you. So I know it sounds weird, but I picked up photography because it was a good way for me to deal with being out in crowds and things like that. And so actually I learned that during the time that I was going through healing.
Okay. You said taking landscape pictures.
You get landscape, or if you're in the city and there's a lot of things going on, moving around. So I did that, and I was in Portland, and I did that while I was with a friend and family, and I took a picture and it ended up getting published.
Mm,
And I was
nice.
like, oh, I was taking random pictures and it got published. Oh my gosh. And I had it on Instagram, and someone reached out, can we put it in our Portland visitors forum? I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
go
So I
go
got
for it.
it. He recognized me on there, gave me credit for it. So I was like, cool. So I was like, not only does it work for mental health, but it works if you're trying to get published.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so next question. If you had to choose one person, dead or living, to hang out with for one day, who would it be and why?
Wow, that's a good one. You know, I have several people, but this one particular person I'm going to mention. There's quite a few, but I'm going to mention this person because it's related to where I'm at right now. Frida Kahlo.
Frida
And
Kahlo.
she's a painter,
Right.
and she actually got into an accident, and a rod went through her leg, and she was bedbound, and she started painting. And so she, became a renowned painter. And it was during her being bedbound, she started taking these self portraits of herself. And so when she started doing that, she, became more famous and she married Diego Rivera. So I could relate to her because I would love to have a conversation with her about what that process was after she got in the accident and how, that painting and how it kind of drew her to help during that healing process. So I would say her. I have her paintings. So I would say I could definitely resonate with her and can relate to her.
Was there a movie about her as well?
I'm not sure if there was a movie about her, but I know
That does sound
she
familiar, Frida.
she might have a movie. There might be, but she's the one with the you may have seen. She has the unibrow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so you probably seen her pictures, but you probably seen her and like, oh, that's who she is.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I definitely could relate to her, and the fact that I was able to discover, oh, I didn't know I could paint, not, I could draw, or I didn't know that I could take pictures, and it was during those times that I did. And I don't know if you probably won't be able to see it, but this is a picture of that is her. Can
Yeah,
you see?
yeah, I do remember. I think there was a
Yes,
movie at one point about her. Okay,
yeah. So I would say her only because it's related to what we're talking about.
okay. Next question. Recommend a book for our audience to read.
Mm, gosh, there's so many.
I know, right?
The Outliner.
The Outliners.
Mhm. In that book, I would say that is a good book on, the power of numbers, doing things so many times, like how the author talks about um, how doing something 10,000 times
Right.
become this expert. So I always say that was a really, really a good book to read.
Yeah, Outliers by I think Malcolm Gladwell it was.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so next question. What's your favorite quote and why?
Gosh, my favorite quote. Hmm, I know scripture. Look, I could give you my favorite scripture.
Sure, yeah.
I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Definitely can't go wrong with, the scriptures there.
Hmm.
um, all right, so final question, Althea. Where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, or even 10 years from now?
I see myself talking and encouraging women uh, on a larger scale, and motivating our women veterans, especially those that are transitioning, that we have it in us to do whatever it is that we are called to do, and that, like myself, going through trauma and different things like that, that we still have a purpose and we still have a calling. Even throughout transitioning out the military, you may have some bumps in the road, but that will pass.
Right.
You know, right people, be intentional about everything you do. You will get to that destination where it is that you're trying to go, career wise, personally, or even in your entrepreneurship journey.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I mean, Althea, you're doing great things out there. All the best to she vets it and the future, whatever it's um, you got going on, and you know, looking forward to hearing more about you and the organization. And hopefully, I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for those that decide to tune in and listen. I appreciate you.
Oh, one more thing. Where can they follow you? Where can they find more information on She Vets It?
You can follow me on all social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook. You can follow me. You can also, again, subscribe to shevets.com so that you could stay updated on what I have going on.
All right, so there you go for everybody. Shevetted.com. Make sure you go check it out and check out the social media pages. Again, Althea, thanks for the time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.